Welcome back to the next episode of my Volkswagen Crafter van build. Last episode I installed the ball bars to the front of my Crafter. Today I'm going to install with the LED light bar across the top. I ordered it a week ago, it's arrived, so I'm going to unbox it and see what we've got and how to fix it. I've already had a look just to make sure I've got everything, but now I'm going to have a proper look and see how it installs. So in the box is the light bar itself. You've got the harness as well. It's all ready made up with a relay and a switch, so it's a case of just plug and play. So on the harness you've got the relay which is already wired, you've got your positive and your negative that go to the battery terminals, you've got your switch, just a basic on and off switch. I may change this later to a switch that goes on my dashboard, and then you've got an inline fuse as well. I think it's a 15 amp fuse. And these are the two connections that plug straight in to the connections on the LED light as well. You've got two brackets to fix on the LED light bar itself to the actual brackets as well, which you will be installing on the light bar. Sorry, I mean the actual ball bar itself, not the light bar. So these are the brackets I also got for the bar. I think they're about 80mm in diameter, and they just bolt through either side. They look a bit big and bulky to me, so might have to have a rethink on them. I think it's going to look a bit silly with them sticking on them, and it looks as though the bolts are going to jut out, but I shall take it outside and have a look. But that's how they're mounted on the light bar. So let's have a look where I'm actually going to mount the light bar. I was thinking of going like either in this gap or on the top, or even down below, but that will cover up the number plate. So let's hold it up and have a look to see what's best. So this is on the top, obviously. I was going to fit it down below as well, but that might restrict airflow to the radiator, plus it's just not that thin enough to actually go in the recess, so I probably won't have it there. Underneath was a stupid place because that's just going to cover the number plate, so the only option really is along the top, so that's where we're going to put it. So let's take a look at these brackets. Yeah, so they do look quite big actually, and with the bolt holes sticking out, A, it's going to be dangerous, and B, they're just going to look really ugly, so I don't really like them. I've decided I'm not going to use these brackets. I'm going to make something myself because they just look a little bit too big, and I want something a little bit more neater and less protruding out the front as well. On the ball bars there's some little like nuts on the back as well, two attached lights, so I'm going to use those probably, but I am going to make myself some brackets. So this is what I'm going to use, just two small galvanised metal brackets. Just picked them up from a local DIY shop, and then I've just coated them with a few coats of hammerite black satin finish just to match the colour of the ball bar itself. I've just had to also drill a couple of I think they're 10mm holes just to accept the bolts on each side of the brackets. So the only actual tools you need is a 14mm spanner and this Allen key that already comes with the light bar itself. So these are the nuts on the back of the bar itself. I think they're called riv nuts, but they're pre-installed by the ball bar manufacturer. So this is how I've attached these brackets to. I've just done them loose at the moment just so I can get the spacings right. And then these are the brackets which are just bolted on to the light bar itself. They come with the kit. They're just basic bolts that just fix in this little slider, so you can determine how to centre the light bar up to each individual ball bar. Once I was happy it was all level and in the right position, then I tightened up all the bolts using I think it was a 14mm spanner. So I need to hide this cable. What I'm going to do is tuck it behind the grill, through the grill, and maybe do the connection at the back. So I suppose the hardest part about this job is to do the actual wiring loom, feeding it from the front of the vehicle to the inside dashboard. So this is a little grommet here that's ready and available. Just snip that end off and you can hopefully fish the cable through, and hopefully that goes into the dashboard. So I need to go inside and have a look to see how that's going to be easily threaded through. So first thing I need to do is to take up the floor, because that's where the battery is. So you just remove the cap of the tool kit. There's a little screwdriver that's in there with I think it's about a 6mm Torx head, and you need this just to remove a bit of trim. This allows you to get the flooring up. I think you can probably just pull the flooring up without moving this trim, but it makes it a bit awkward when you're getting it back, so I decided just to undo these 3 screws, remove the trim, and the flooring comes out a lot easier. Once the flooring is removed, then you can see the top cover for the battery. This is a case of just lifting it out, and then it exposes the battery. This is where I connected my DC to DC charger, so I'm going to use the same actual bolt as that to bolt my harness on. Now it's a case of finding the wire from the front of the engine bay to underneath the dashboard for the light switch and the harness connections. So I just dropped this tray just to see if I can see any holes at the back of the dashboard to make it a little bit easier. It just comes off with a couple of clips and a stay, and that just folds down. I could just see the cable and the hole through that little gap there, but it's going to make it easy if I go in through the sideway as well. So I've decided just to remove this little bit of trim and the trim at the bottom. That just again has a couple of Torx head screws to remove it. It's fairly easy to come off. So I went back inside the engine bay, and I got a bit of scrap cable I had and just poked it through the hole just to see if I can see it come through. It come through quite easily. I think that's what it's made for, you know, adding on auxiliary items like this. So then what I did is I got the harness, the connection that goes to the LED light, and I taped it to the piece of wire just using insulation tape, so then I could pull it through. It's a simple case of just pulling the cable through, and it's easy if you get someone on the other side to help you push it through as well, and that just came through really easily. Then it's a case of putting all the trims back. Now I see where the hole was. You probably don't have to do this now you've seen this video, because you can see it from right underneath where the actual cable comes through. So I've got an old coat hanger, or you can use a bit of wire just to help find where the cable is that you've pushed it through to the engine bay. Then it's a case of pulling it back so you can make the connection from the harness to the LED light itself. It's just a couple of connectors. They just plug in, obviously red to red, black to black, and then I taped them up so it's completely waterproof. Then it's a case of pushing the wires back in, pulling it through the engine bay so it's a little bit more tight and away from the radiator, so the cable doesn't overheat. Then I zip tied it to the actual bonnet release cable. That keeps it nice and neat in the engine bay. So now the outside is finished, it looks all neat and tidy, you can't see any cabling, so it's a case of going back inside and connecting the positive and the negative to the battery. To make everything a bit neater, I just tucked the cable harness behind all the panelling, so it just looks neat and tidy and there's less risk of damaging it. So it's just a simple case of putting the red to the positive and the black to the negative on the battery, slipping down the cap, and that's all done. So I tried turning it on and the fuses kept on blowing every time I switched it on. I went through several fuses, I even just tried to put a bigger fuse as well, but that didn't work. So I checked all the cabling, make sure everything was secure, on the relay, back on the batteries, and it still kept on blowing the fuses. So I decided there's probably something wrong with the harness or the LED light itself. So I decided just to tidy up everything, put everything away, and have a think on what I would do next. So on that failed attempt of the light bar, I decided it's got to be either the wiring loom that's faulty or the light bar itself. So what I decided to do is to get back on Amazon and order another light bar. It came the next day, so I thought it's either going to be a faulty wiring loom or maybe it's the bulbs or connections inside the light bar. So what I did, I got everything out, I got my spare battery and connected everything up, and it was working fine. So I thought the easiest thing to do is to change the light bar first, because it's just two connections, and as I've already installed the actual harness, through the dashboard, etc., that's the easiest thing first. So I went to the front, unravelled all the connections, which I actually wrapped in insulation tape to make it waterproof. I discovered it was my fault. Two of the connections were just touching just at the end here, so that was causing the fuses to blow. So installer error, so I wrapped them up again and the light is now working. So I've got to wrap this up and send it back. So I went back out in the van, reconnected all the terminals, positive to positive, negative to negative, and then ready for the big switch on. Yep, so it works this time, perfect, no fuses blowing. So now it's a case of putting everything back neater and putting the floor back. So now I need to feed this cable up behind the dashboard and fix it to a switch on the dashboard, or I might purchase a separate switch. This is the switch that comes with it. It's not that great, and it don't look very good, but it has got a connection, which is just a case of switching on and off, and the lights work as they should. So I need to put a switch on the dashboard. I think I will go to Volkswagen or have a look on eBay or somewhere for an actual switch that fits inside one of the actual apertures on the dashboard. Makes it look a much better finish. Now it's all installed, let's give it a night test. So this is just with the side lights, this is just with the headlights, and then this is with the LED light bar. It's not even dark yet, it's only dusk, so it does produce quite a good range forward and sidewards as well. So I'm quite pleased with these. So next update. So last time we got up to episode 10, which came to 7,235.93 pence for the build. So next we've got to go for episode 11, 12 and 13 and 14. So the first one Episode 11 was the bed lift. All the items in there, including the foam and the upholstery, the Velcro strap I made, and the extra cable carrier, that came to 1,154. Episode 12, which was the ball bars. The ball bar was 680. They're quite expensive for what they are, but there's only a few manufacturers that make them. And the wind deflector was 5880. So that came to 738. Episode 13, which were the electrics, and well, that included the solar panel, etc., and all the electrics and the batteries, worktop, the ply to do the front sections and the cupboards, and some edging, and that came to 1,792. Electrics on its own, including the solar and the batteries, was 1,423 out of that. Episode 14 was the light bar. That's probably the cheapest episode, and that was 43.19, and I got a couple of brackets just from Wicks or B&Q. They were only a couple of pound each, so that come to £45. So just to recap, the total build so far is £10,964.93. That's obviously not including the vehicle itself. So my budget of 10 grand has gone over, and I've still got to make the roof rack and install it, and also I'm going to have an awning as well, and I'm going to do some other little bits and pieces as well. And I'm still thinking about a swivel seat, but the problem with the swivel seat at the moment I've got sensors in the seat, and I've got to figure out how to alter the wiring or have them deleted from the system. So don't know quite what to do there, and I'm still contemplating on having rear windows as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.